That changed my whole outlook on
Wow.
everything. And if our community actually did the research and looked at Dr. Claude Anderson and looked at
Hmm.
that letter from
Yep.
1991 from Mrs. King, we would understand what's going on. But it's like all we want to do is joke about what a black job is. It's not just black jobs that are at stake. It's black neighborhoods, black schools,
Hmm.
black resources. But we'd
Yeah.
rather make memes than to actually do the research. So yes, we can fault the politician, but I bring it back to the community. At what point do the woke people wake up?
Yeah.
Dre.
Both of y'all are absolutely correct, but I do want to go back and touch on the education piece. I am
Yes.
a strong advocate for reforming our public school system. Here in Fort Worth, half of our kids cannot read.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
bad nationwide, but here in Fort Worth, half of our kids can't read. And instead of our local leaders, no matter what color they are, actually step in and do something, we pay superintendents $1 million to quit. How is that helping?
Yeah.
How is that helping? But furthermore, if you look at who's actually enrolled into Fort Worth ISD, half of these kids are here illegally.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
attacking kids. I know kids are, they're off limits. But you don't have to be an accountant to understand that if half of the school district is here illegally, how can we possibly prioritize our kids? And you're absolutely right. There is a gap because when these people come here illegally, they're not going to gated communities. They're coming
No.
into our communities. But
Hmm.
the masses in the black community, a lot of them are uneducated on the
Mm-hmm.
effects of mass immigration. I never said that I was a Democrat, but as you all may know, we're spoon fed that. I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot with no question. And if you were a black Democrat, then that was a plus. But what I've learned over the past 4 years has been a major wake up call, not only locally, but on a state and federal level. Black politicians aren't doing what they're supposed to do, but the problem that I'm seeing is the community. It's not
Hmm.
just the black politicians, it's the people who keep them in office, it's their fan base, it's the corrupt neighborhood associations, it's the corrupt churches, the corrupt pastors. So this is a system era, not just a
Yeah.
politician era. The politician is only going to do what we allow. it's not just jobs. It's our neighborhoods. It's
Hmm.
our resources that they say we don't have. But as soon as someone hops over the border illegally, they get Social Security, they get
Mm-hmm.
disability, they get housing, food stamps, everything that they said that we didn't have. They hand over. All of you are correct, but it takes for the community to stand up. We can't say that our vote is our voice and then start whispering.
Right.
It's
Yes.
stupid. But it goes back to, are you willing to learn? Because I know more people that dissected Kendrick Lamar's lyrics before they went and researched who was on their ballot or
Hmm.
Numbers USA and what they're talking about, or the back of the hiring line. I tried to read it online. They just clown me on how slow I read out loud instead of dissecting what's in the book, dissecting
Yes.
Right.
what was in that letter from 1991, and actually understand that not everything that Trump says is funny. You should actually go back and research it. But we as a community, we hate Trump so much. It is so wasteful. And these are the same older black people, men and women, that go to
Mm-hmm.
church every Sunday and say, "Thou shalt not hate." But you hate Trump just because you don't understand him. And I understand that
Yeah.
he's a very blunt person, but if you just put your emotions aside and
Right.
actually think logically and vote outside of your emotion, we might be able to get somewhere within the black community.
Me, he said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy.
And it's the demographic, my demographic, that's the most educated in America. But we fight for DEI like we're DEI hires. I've never been a
Yeah.
DEI hire, and nor will I ever be. And in West Dallas, they're battling with a lot. One, they're battling with the schools. They're overran with illegal immigrants. They're battling with infrastructure. They're battling with environmental attacks from a plant called GAF.
Mm-hmm.
If you drive down Singleton by that community, by the library, you can literally smell
Wow.
the chemicals in the air. And this has been brought to the city, it's been brought to the commissioners, and it's even been brought to her and Mark Vesey, the man that I'll be unseating next year. They don't do anything. These black politicians, they're super passive. But one of the things that I want to point out in her district, or in District 30, is when I was knocking on doors and introducing myself to the community, which I grew up in West Dallas in this neighborhood. I went to the library and I'm trying to figure out all of the programs that we have. And surprisingly, we have a free GED program. I was like, yes, that's great. I know a few people that, need this. And then the clerk was like, oh, no, we only have it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Couldn't give me an answer. They just pointed me down the street. And that may seem small, but it starts somewhere. And between her and Mark Vesey, they're not knocking on doors. A lot of people didn't, in this neighborhood that I'm speaking on, they didn't even know that she was in office. They just knew her from TikTok fame, which granted, a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, want to see combativeness in politics because they think that, oh, they're fighting for us. When in all actuality, that person is just a loudmouth, especially if you look at their voting record. But the majority of black people in the black community, we've never been to city council. We've never been to county commissioners. We only show up to school board if it's important with our kid. We've never even typed in congress.gov to research what these people are voting on and what they're supporting. So it's like, at what point in time do we hold the community accountable for supporting people like this? Because again, their vote is their voice.
Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
Simple supply and demand. Why are we advocating for low wages? And this is the party that wants to increase the minimum wage. What sense does that make? You're advocating for low wages. That's why supposedly we don't want to work the jobs. I'll take the job. Offer it to me. It's not that we don't want to work. We're just not going to work for a tip wage. We're not about to go and pick something for $2 an hour, $3 an hour. Minimum wage shouldn't even be $7 an hour. But this is coming from the party that wants to increase minimum wage while also advocating for lower wages for crop pickers, simply because they want to replace the black vote. And I'll cite Dr. Claude Anderson there. I mean, he spoke about it all, but it's the black community that has to wake up. One of the insane Democrats that voted against HR 7909, which would deport any illegal immigrant that was convicted of any sexual crime in regards to our women and children. And I had lost respect for her before that, but after that, I couldn't understand how anybody, let alone a woman, could vote like that. But my stance on illegal immigration is the only right that you should have after breaking into this country is the right to remain silent.
Yes, I love it. You know what?
Because 90% of the elder black community, they don't agree with any of the LGBT plus people. It's crazy. We know that we don't agree with this, and it speaks to how conservative the black community is, but we don't want to admit it. And it's insane. But the fact that we are even thinking about discussing gender studies or trans this or any type of ideologies like that in school before we talk about something like credit or taxes or construction is just insane. And I don't understand it. But again, I place the majority of the blame on the community. At what point in time do we hold people accountable? We can't just hold the Republicans accountable. This is a two-party system, right? So y'all see what happened in California right after the Democrats shut down the reparations? They had some type of housing bill that they were trying to get passed, giving 0% interest, $0 down to illegal immigrants. And this is all while ignoring the legacy of redlining.
And Miss Payton and Mr. Barnes are one of the shows that's going to be on our network. Welcome aboard, folks. Y'all can talk a little bit about what y'all think about coming aboard with us.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I think that Payton is the right person to start this information campaign to reach the community about what's going wrong with our elected officials, what's going on with some of these policies that are affecting their communities. And I think that we're going to dole it out in a way that people are going to be like, you know, I never really thought about this before. Let me consider this.
Peyton?
I am super excited. When Dre sent me the message, I don't know if it was a message or an email, but regardless, it's an honor. I've learned so much within the Black community from Numbers USA and the people that he surrounds himself with. I'm more than willing to put that on the front burner for our community with PV and J Hour, because it is really about the information.
Yes.
There's a lot of ignorance in our community, and some people, they'll hear that word and they take an offense to it, but ignorance is just a lack of information. Now, there's two terms. We have ignorance and then we have ignorance. Of course, thank you. My name is Peyton Jackson, and you can follow along with my progress at notaxingwithjackson.com.